I kublai pi baro nakaliang ka department jong ka arts and culture Sorkar Meghalaya bat ka Meghalaya MUN abang ilawan hangle mata kasni berkan mawi kasni yap jong Tirot Singh Syiem ke himanong klaw upalayale persya yaki pareng nakabenta kari bat ka judge benreu jong I baro. On behalf of the Department of Arts and Culture, Government of Meghalaya and Meghalaya MUN, I warmly welcome everyone present. We are gathered here today for a small tribute in remembrance of the life, the courage and sacrifice of Tirot Singh, who stood up against the British for our land, our rights, and who died in exile on this day in the year 1835 in Dhaka. This small tribute is being conducted also in line with Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, celebrating 75 years of the independence of our nation. To start off, we shall have the welcome address by the founder president of Meghalaya MUN, Mr. Meshwa Mautho. But before that, I would like to request Adela Walarpi, member secretariat of the Meghalaya MUN, to present the Rindia to our chief guest. A round of applause, please. Thank you. And now, we shall have the welcome address by Mr. Meshwa Kupar Mautho, founder president of Meghalaya Model United Nations.
Thank you, Mr. Adrian, Chef de Cabinet Meghalaya Model United Nations, for hosting today's program. It is one of the greatest days in the history of the Khasi and Jaintia region to remember the death anniversary of the greatest Klawite, Tirot Singh Syiem. We must remember him because it is he who is inspiration of all generations to come. He is a trailblazer. He sacrificed himself for our betterment. He fought the colonizers who treated us badly, especially after a bond of friendship they had established for the road. We thank all of you who come here today, especially Honorable Commissioner Secretary Sir, Mr. Frederick R. Kharkongor, for all being here with us and being a guiding light, the officers and staffs of the Directorate of Arts and Culture, Secretariat members of the Meghalaya Model United Nations family, as well as all press and friends and family of Meghalaya Model United Nations. We must remember that from here onwards, as young people, we must take Tirot Singh Syiem as our inspiration, because today we are in a world where young people need to stand up for their rights of empowering themselves. I also want to share with each of you that the Department of Arts and Culture, in collaboration with Meghalaya Model United Nations, is conducting many competitions to celebrate 75 years of independence. I invite all young people to participate in these competitions, to celebrate the spirit of being an Indian, and to understand that being an Indian, that for this freedom that we have today, our forefathers have to give their yesterday. So I wish all of you a very happy Tirot Singh Day and a warm welcome to everyone. Kublai, Mithaila, Jai Hind, Hoi Kyu!
Thank you, Mr. Meshwa, for that short yet inspiring speech. We shall now have a special musical performance by Mr. Lamphang Syiem, a 9th generation descendant of Tirot Singh. Lamphang hails from a family of musicians. His grandmother, late Mrs. Listrimai Syiem, was a singer-songwriter of repute, while his mother, Mrs. Lumtimai Syiem, is also a household name when it comes to traditional singing. Having completed his grade 8 in popular music from West London College of Music with a distinction, as well as being the only All India radio artist from this part of the world having grade A in both Western and traditional categories, he has released 2 albums, Rimpai Bayedimei in 2007, on which he collaborated with his mother, and La Rimpai in 2014, in which he composed and arranged almost the songs. I request Mr. Lamphang to take the mic.
A very good evening to everyone. Respected Sir Kharkongor, the Meghalaya Model United Nations, Department of Arts and Culture, thank you so much for having me. It's actually a breath of fresh air to be performing live after so long. The name of the song is Tirot, composed and arranged by my late grandmother, Syiem. Syiem nong kla ka nam jong u men ta ka pa ha do ki ni kis ni ngem kla Schlur jong u in wood serwe na baroka patep mangi dei unina Syiem Khasi Shitong yalakari Tirot sing Syiem jongi Tirot sing uriu yale Shunala kari ube Shi serta donut umud ha No shun kipa panwan yala Junkie Allah yo He ma jong u man yo kinti Sha shi tom yalakari Tirot sing Syiem jongi Kau berkah Kendep ben riu usnau pet ma Renti uknam kasti ura Nong shun krawon ki kam kela sao si ayeng bendi Tirot sing Syiem jong Tirot sing Syiem jong Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lamphang. That was truly a befitting, a touching musical tribute to Tirot Singh. Surely that song has ignited our hearts and our souls. We shall now have the Floral Tribute. First, I would like to call upon the Commissioner and Secretary of Arts and Culture Department to place the wreath at the statue. Next, I call upon the President of Meghalaya Model United Nations to place the wreath. I would like to call upon the officers and staff of the Directorate of Arts and Culture to place the wreath. Now, I call upon the Secretariat members of the Meghalaya Model United Nations to place the wreath. Last, but certainly not the least, I call upon Mr. Lamphang Syiem to place a wreath on behalf of his clan Syiem. Thank you all. Now, I would like to request Mr. Frederick Harungor, IAS, Commissioner and Secretary, Department of Arts and Culture, to deliver the keynote address.
A very good afternoon to all of you. At the very outset, I would like to apologize for the delay because I was in another function at Synod College for the unveiling of the portrait of Tirot Singh, a program in collaboration with the Synod College, where we had some leading academicians like Dr. David Simley and other prominent people. Our MP was also there. So I got a bit delayed coming here, so I sincerely apologize for the delay. Today is a very special day. It's a day in which we honor our brave heart, Tirot Singh, who gave his life for the cause of freedom in 1835 on 17th of July. This is the 186th death anniversary of the brave heart from these hills. And we honor his memory today. And it's more relevant today as we are in the midst of these challenges. I would like to congratulate the Meghalaya Model United Nations, the President, Mr. Meshwa Mautho, his entire team for having organized this short but solemn function in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, in the midst of many challenges. And I also would like to especially congratulate because they are young people. And it is amongst the young generation that the memory and the brave deeds of this valiant son should be made known to all the young people and the young generation of the sacrifices made in the past. For our tomorrows, they gave there today. So that I think that is something which is very much suitable, which is very apt for Tirot Singh, that for our tomorrows he gave his today. Tirot Singh forms part of the tribal resistance movement, which is an indelible part of the national movement. There are brave tribal heroes in our state. Apart from Tirot Singh, you have Kyang Nongba and Patogan Sangma and many other unsung heroes. And it is their, valiant deeds, their heroic, sacrifices, which form part of that rich narrative of tribal resistance movement, which actually is a precursor to the national movements that gain momentum later on. We had the first War of Indian Independence in 1857. Tirot Singh's Anglo Khasi War, the war in which Tirot Singh participated is known as the Anglo Khasi War. That took place from 1829 to 1835. These were the years in which Tirot Singh and his band of brave warriors, they fought an unequal war. We can say that it was an unequal war because his adversaries, who were the various imperialist forces, they had much superior technology, they had much superior arms, but still, Tirot Singh and his band of warriors, they fought a sustained guerrilla warfare for 4 years and kept at bay the entire challenge of the colonialists. And we must also salute the unsung heroes who fought with Tirot Singh. Monbut, Kaphan Nonglat. I think Kaphan Nonglat is one of the first female freedom fighters of that era. In that sense, Kaphan Nonglat, we use the term hero, but Kaphan Nonglat was a shiro, in a sense. She was a tribal freedom, struggle, leader of those days. So Monbut and Jarang and Kaphan Nonglat, these were the fellow warriors who fought alongside Tirot Singh against those colonial forces that were operating in those days. So as I mentioned, it was these tribal movements that actually formed the precursor for the national movement that was to come later on, and which gained momentum under Mahatma Gandhi and the various national leaders. And it is this instinct for self-preservation, for self-protection against the expansionist forces that actually spurred leaders like U Tirot Singh to fire the first salvo against the British, that they will not let the foundation, that it was their collective efforts which ensured that there was a semblance of resistance against against those attempts of colonial powers to lay their foundations here. So I think salute to his memory. And what we need to understand now in this day and age is that from the function which I just came back, many scholars, many leading researchers, they shared the fact that the history of Tirot Singh should also be revisited, and we should get a more 360-degree perspective of what Tirot Singh represented, because most of the accounts, most of the stories that we hear about Tirot Singh are from the British colonial sources, and all the histories that were, all the narratives that have come down to us are mostly based on these colonial sources. So I think we must applaud the works of people like Dr. David Simle, who did research in Dhaka and found out the exact date of the death of Tirot Singh, 17 July. And also, what Dr. David Simle had mentioned was very interesting, is that even though Tirot Singh was the chief of a small province, or the chief of a small state, a small Khasi state, the state of Nongklao, when he went to Dhaka, he was given the status of a state prisoner. He was accorded the position of a Raja. So Tirot Singh was not an honorary political prisoner, but he was given the status of a Raja, of a state prisoner. That itself shows the kind of respect that the British had for him and for the for the soldiering spirit that he displayed along with his band of followers. I would also like to urge our young people here and also others to think about doing more research on on Tirot Singh, building a digital repository with rich materials and and resources, so that we get a 360-degree perspective of who Tirot Singh was and what he meant, so that our younger generation is also fired by the spirit. In this, the 75th year of India's independence, the Azadi Ki Amrit Mahotsav, we have to focus on the unsung heroes of our state and brave hearts like Tirot Singh. And I think a day like this is so important for young people to sort of value and to cherish what he stood for. Yes, Tirot Singh is gone from our midst. He's not there with us in physical form, but his spirit lives on with us. And it is our responsibility to ensure that the next generation is inspired and it is enriched with his with his ideals and what he stood for. And we should also do that much research that we get accurate and also authentic sources, so that we do not depend only on colonial history. And there should be efforts at maybe making Tirot Singh more alive in all of us through maybe a kind of a digital museum where we have augmented reality, we have virtual reality, so that young people who are so exposed to internet and multimedia can have a sense of Tirot Singh coming alive, and they can experience his struggles and experience those wars and how he tried to with his limited resources, with his limited with limited men and materials at his possession, how he was able to rise to the challenge. So a kind of a tribal museum, maybe with augmented reality, with virtual reality, and also all the research papers should be in the form of a digital repository, so that researchers, young people can access them, and bloggers and influencers, they can all come together. And yes, music plays a big role. I like to thank Mr. Lamprang Simle, who also happens to be a descendant of Tirot Singh, who have composed that beautiful and very moving song. And we also need to have music. I know that there was, a few years ago, there was an animation, I think, a Tirot Singh animation was there a few years ago, which also contributed quite a great deal to young people knowing about Tirot Singh. We hope that there will be some documentaries and a full-length movie maybe that can be made on the life and times of Tirot Singh, and this can be something which is of legacy value. Just like people wrote books in the past, I think in the present day, movies and animation is something that the young people can be attracted to, and they can be inspired by the ideals. And this is something which is significant in the context of 75 years of India's independence. I congratulate the Meghalaya United Nations for having partnered with us proactively and for organizing a series of very creative and interesting competitions based on the national movement, on India at 75, on unsung heroes, on action at 75, and we hope that the young people who will participate in this will come to know more and more about the freedom struggle and the vision for what India and what Meghalaya should attain in the years to come. So congratulations once again. I salute the spirit of Tirot Singh, and may it be something which raises the consciousness of young generation and inspires us on a daily basis of what he did for us, of the sacrifices that he made today for our tomorrows. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your insightful and inspiring speech. We have come to the end of this short yet meaningful ceremony. On behalf of the organizing team, I would like to express our gratitude to the Commissioner and Secretary, Department of Arts and Culture, for sparing his valuable time to grace this ceremony and for his initiative in ensuring that this significant day is commemorated. I would also like to thank the Director of Arts and Culture, as well as the officers and staff of the Directorate for their support in preparations for the ceremony. I express our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Lampang Syiem and his team for the mesmerizing musical performance. I thank the members of the Meghalaya MUN Secretariat for their assistance in the planning and execution of the ceremony. Lastly, I would like to thank the Forest Department as well as the Khasi Students Union for allowing us to use the premises and the monument for this commemorative ceremony. We shall now sing the National Anthem, which will be led by Mr. Lampang. I request everyone to rise up.
Jana Gana Mana Adhinayaka Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Punjab Sindh Gujarat Maratha Dravida Utkala Banga Vindhya Himachala Yamuna Ganga Ujjala Jaladhi Taranga Tava Shubha Name Jage Tava Shubha Ashisha Mage Gaye Tava Jaya Gatha Jana Gana Mangala Dayak Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Jaya He Jaya He Jaya He Jaya 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 He.
Thank you everyone. Kubei Shibon, Mithala, Jai Hind, Hoi Q.